The Chicago Bulls are not projected to win a lot of games, but there are some people that believes that the Chicago Bulls can win 40 games this season. Is it crazy to think that? And then to end the show, we got to talk about the Chicago Bulls still dropping the ball on Zach Lavine. Y'all know we're going to talk about it all, break it down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shot Bulls Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. If you're tuned in with me today, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We about to get right into it. Now, look, the Chicago Bulls last season, they ended the season with a 39-43 record. And now, some people believe, and rightfully so, if you one of those homers, that the Chicago Bulls, with now removing DeMar DeRozan, with now removing Alex Caruso, with the potential of Lonzo Ball returning and being himself, with Zach Lavine returning from injury, Patrick Williams returning for injury, there are some that believe that the Chicago could actually be a game better, or at least the same, when it comes down to the Chicago Bulls. Now, if we're talking about the Chicago Bulls last season had a 19-22 record on the road and a 20-21 record at home. But one key factor that we got to talk about in all this and talk about in this equation is the loss of DeMar DeRozan. I think it's one of the bigger things that we got to talk about when we talk about win totals, because DeMar DeRozan was crowned king of the fourth for a reason. We seen all the spectacular performances. We seen DeMar DeRozan close out a lot of games. We seen DeMar DeRozan simply take over and will the Chicago Bulls to many, many wins right here up in Chicago. DeMar is a closer. And in the clutch, that's 5 minutes left in a game that is when, I believe, 5 points or less in that ball game to where they consider it a clutch game. The Chicago Bulls played a number of those games, and DeMar DeRozan led the way in fourth quarter scoring, or in clutch scoring, for the Chicago Bulls with 4.6 per game in those clutch moments. In the Chicago Bulls, in those games that DeMar DeRozan played, their record was 24-17. Now, their overall record is 27-17 in clutch games. Now, with the experience that DeMar DeRozan brings to this, what that he brought to the young Chicago Bulls, he was able to bail them out a lot of those games. So we got to come to this and say, now, who's going to step up now, ladies and gentlemen? Is that Ayo Dosunmu? Is that Kobe White? Is that Josh Giddey? Is that Patrick Williams? So it's a lot of who the hell is going to step up, with us really not knowing who's going to step up. Hell, we know Zach Lavine is going to start the season with the Chicago Bulls. Is it going to be Zach Lavine to close these games? We go back years ago before DeMar DeRozan was on the squad to that game in Charlotte where Zach Lavine was able to close the game. But when we talk about when DeMar DeRozan was added onto this team, the closing duties was handed off to Cornrow Kobe. That's DeMar DeRozan for those that don't know. Zach Lavine, when he was placed in those situations, I got one example for sure, is the game in Atlanta. In one of those clutch games, you needed to go after a three. Zach Lavine stepped inside of the 3-point line, took a jump shot for a 2-point, and it didn't, and nothing happened out of that. Nothing happened out of that. It was a solid defensive play by the Atlanta Hawks. Zach Lavine never really got a chance to get a clean shot with his decision to step inside the 3-point line and take a shot. But it was one of those moments to where he was like, see, this is why, Billy Donovan, you should have been allowing not just DeMar DeRozan, but Zach Lavine his fair share of shots to close out these games for you. But I got to respect it because you got to go with what your eyes have been telling you. You got to go with the history that has been shown in front of you. And at that moment in time, DeMar DeRozan was the guy that was always getting it done. You can't be mad at that. But now DeMar DeRozan is gone. He's gone. And when we talk about all those things and we look at what the win totals that have been pushed out for the Chicago Bulls, FanDuel ain't no believer. For my people that love to shop and bet on FanDuel, they do not believe the Chicago Bulls can get anything close to 40 games. Right now, they have their win total set at 27 and a half games for the Chicago Bulls. You go ahead, you spend some bread, and you say if you're going to pick the over or if you're going to pick the under, it's your decision. Me personally, I don't think it's crazy to say that the Chicago Bulls can win 40 games, but it's a tall task ahead of them when you consider what you've gained and what you've lost. Right now, the Chicago Bulls, they've lost some key players on this squad, and one specifically we just talked about, DeMar DeRozan, and you getting a lot of what ifs back. You talking about how healthy is Zach Lavine gonna look? How is he gonna impact the game? Is he going to be all in? Or is he going to BS us kind of like he did before he went down with the injury last year? Josh Giddey. This is a guy that was pretty much damn near about to be a bench player going into 2024, according to Sam Presti, but he traded him to the Chicago Bulls. I know the young fella can ball, but how good would he be for the Chicago Bulls? I know what Kobe White can do for me. I know that he can score in a multitude of ways, but with now the responsibility being placed on you with the emphasis coming from the opposing teams to properly defend you, can Kobe White step up? Will Ayo Dosunmu be in that closing lineup? We've seen Ayo Dosunmu be a threat in transition. We've seen Ayo Dosunmu step up and go to the three-point line in transition or come off the screen and hit a knockdown three. Big time, big man, grown man type of shot. But can he do it when the lights get brighter, when things get tougher? It's still I don't know. Patrick Williams, we already know we've been trying to pull that aggressiveness out of Patrick Williams since he arrived in Chicago. We've seen a lot of good things out of Patrick Williams when the other guys wasn't in the game, but is that going to be the same thing that's lingering around the Chicago Bulls right now? Is Nikola Vucevic an option? Hell no. So what are we going to do to replace that fourth quarter scoring? Is it going to be, hey, let's do it by committee? We're going to go with the best play down the stretch and may the best man, or you're going to rely on guys to make shots in those moments? Or are you going to have a designated player with a guy that you don't even know want to be here, and you absolutely don't even know if you still wanting to be here and lean on Zach Lavine? It's too many what ifs for me. Right now, if we're looking at the Chicago Bulls and their 39 wins last season, that placed them in the play-in. Now, if we saying that the Chicago Bulls fall off a little bit, last season, the Atlanta Hawks finished in the 10th spot and they had to get 36 wins. FanDuel is saying 27 and a half is the minimum, is the bar. Can they clear it or will they falter? I believe they cleared the 27 wins and I believe they cleared the 27 and a half wins. I do. But my range right now for this Chicago Bulls, as we currently stand before I see any basketball be played, is that this team will win between 30 and 35 games. If you want to push to 40, cool. Not going to be mad at you. Not going to necessarily say that you're wrong because anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? Injuries are going to happen with opposing teams, some more severe than others. Maybe some injuries happen in your squad because we've seen Patrick Williams go down 2 out of the 4 years that he's been in Chicago. We've seen Julian Phillips. He went down. We've seen Zach Lavine, him battling injuries throughout his tenure with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, the other guys are relatively healthy, but you need to win ball games with all hands on deck, especially with the youth that you have on this squad. So I'm gonna say it's a bit crazy, but I believe if you want to be the ultimate homer, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I got my range between 30 and 35 games currently right now until I see other things happen for the Chicago Bulls. And just to recap and go over some of those numbers from this upcoming season with the new schedule, In the first 20 games, the Chicago Bulls are playing 12 games versus teams that were in the playoffs last season. 11 of those 20 games will be on the road. It's not going to be easy for the Chicago Bulls. And within those 20 games, the Chicago Bulls have 3 back-to-backs. And I believe if the Bulls want to clear the 27 wins and eventually start creeping closer and closer to those 40 games, they got to win some of these games that people don't believe that they're going to win, especially starting off with the first 3 games of the season. That's how the Chicago Bulls are going to have to walk into this season. You got to come into this season foot on the gas, no brakes. But it's going to be some growing pains. That's the reality of it. This is a group of guys that's coming together with a new ball handler who has a chip on his shoulder, who's trying to not let his career fall to him being a role player on the bench. So you got some, you know what I'm saying, some intriguing things going on with these guys, and some guys that might be a little bit more enthusiastic to come now and hoop on the floor. But once again, it's still too many what ifs. So I'm going to keep my range in between 30 and 35. I'm not going to say 40 is absolutely out the picture, but if the Bulls get 40 wins, they overachieved, in my opinion, until I see it on wax. I could be wrong, but with new information comes a new opinion. And I got to stand on what I believe or what I'm seeing right now on the docket. And on the docket, we got a very young team with a bunch of what ifs. 30 to 35 games for me. You let me down below how many games you got for the Chicago Bulls winning this season, because I think it's a very, very interesting one. Now, before we go, I got to talk about the Chicago Bulls still missing and dropping the ball on the opportunity that Zach Lavine is giving them. And what I mean by that is, if you know, AK, Mark Eversley, Chicago Bulls media, the idiot team source that came out and leaked that Zach Lavine is not a winner stuff, you want to move Zach Lavine. Or at least that's what the thought is, and what you've been telling us this entire offseason. When Zach Lavine, who's coming off an injury, has questions on if he can stay healthy, or we don't know how good he's going to look for us to even consider trading for him, why you, the Chicago Bulls, are not posting this guy on your social media? Of course, Zach Lavine has enough clout to garner other eyes around the league. But you, as the organization who just had this idiot team source come out and say Zach is not a winner, he's done things his way, now it's time to buy in and do it our way. Why wouldn't you be trying to rekindle this relationship and make the NBA world believe that y'all are good? That you and Zach Lavine have rekindled your relationship enough to say, hey, Zach Lavine has been the ultimate professional. Y'all said it, but words only go so far for me. Put the action behind the words. Hey, go on Chicago Bulls Twitter right now. Who do you see? You see Ayo Dosunmu? Scroll down a little bit more. You see the schedule? Scroll down a little bit more. You see Josh Giddey. What are we doing? What are we doing? Post Zach Lavine on the page. I don't care if you give a 3-word caption. Post them. Show them off. This is something that you want buyers to come see what you're selling. If you got the best pizza on the block, you ain't gonna not advertise it. If you got the best wings in town, you're not gonna refrain from advertising it. If you got the best car on the lot, you're not gonna stick it in the back. You're gonna put that bit right on the front where the entrance is at. And sometime, like some of those fancy dealership, you're going to put it up on a little pedestal and have it up in the air a little bit. You're going to elevate it a little bit. So Bulls, Chicago Bulls social media team, don't drop the ball. And if you need somebody to come do it, you can holler at me right here. Bobby, I'm available. I got you. I just need a small fee. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be that small to me. It might be a small one for you because y'all a $1 billion company. But I will gladly post on your social media for you, keep it engaging, and make it seem like Zach Lavine is that brand new Toyota. But in reality, it's an older Toyota. The motor's still good, but it's an older Toyota. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we should be approaching this. If the ultimate goal is to find the deal that works for you in a Zach Lavine trade, stop hiding the prize. Stop putting the best car on the lot in the damn garage. Put it out on the front lawn and let people drive by and say, damn, that's a nice ass car. Damn, that car look like it got horsepower. Damn, that car look like it can go from 0 to 60 very fast. Damn, it look like I can invest my money in this and it's gonna last past the car note that I gotta pay. Damn. Stop dropping the ball. Chicago Bulls social media. Get it together. This is your time to start, putting all that the glitz and glamour out there, regardless of how you feel about it. Because if you put the stuff out there right now, and you lead up into the season and everybody's believing, hey man, Zach Lavine been putting out these great videos, the Bulls supporting it, and he comes out in hoop to back up what you put on that brochure, to back up what you put on that marketing campaign, somebody gonna call. And it might be the call that you want. But if you stand still, there is some potential that you see, get some buyers. There is a potential, you know what I'm saying? But I want the greatest return. I want the greatest return. And if you want the greatest return, you have to make sure you are doing things simple and safe in any investment. My investors, they know we want investments that are simple. You want to know what you're getting yourself into, and you want to know what your wins or your losses going to be. So what are we doing? Stop pussyfooting around this. Stop playing around this. Get the social media part together because it is the groundwork. It is the foundation for a future deal that could be potentially coming your way. Don't mess around with this. Don't screw it up. Make it happen. Get off your ass. Put some work in. And y'all can show love to Dalen Terry too. You should be promoting your young guys for what they're doing. Not just Zach Lavine, but Zach Lavine is top priority. That's the one that's the car in the lot with the red bone there ready to go home to somebody's mom's on Mother's Day. Come on now. Get it together. Get it together. Y'all tell these people in Chicago Bulls social media to get it together. And if they need a guy, I know a great guy. I know 2 great guys. Myself and Unc. C-Dub. We can make it happen. You just know you got to pay the price. That's it. You just know you got to pay the price. But that is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode over here on Shy Boys Podcast. If before you go, make sure you hit that like button. You subscribe to the channel when you hit that notification bell for all things Chicago Bulls. If you want to be a part of our mailbag episode that's going to be set to drop this weekend, call in, state your name, leave your take on anything Chicago Bulls, and you will be a part of an episode. Number to do so is 773-242-9219. Thank y'all so much, Bulls Nation. Always see red, and you already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.